Greetings, everyone. Pete Pardo here from Sea of Tranquility. Welcome to another edition of Ranking the Albums. Today, we're going to take a look at the catalog, the studio catalog of U.S. rock act REO Speedwagon. Been requested by a lot. And in the co-captain's chair here, we've got Mr. Simon Bray once again. Simon, greetings to you, my friend.
Good afternoon.
That's right. Good afternoon. Well, not quite afternoon yet here, but we're getting there. We're getting there. Simon and I were just talking about how chilly it is in the UK and in New York right now. It's like fall is here already. It's like it's not supposed to be 30-something degrees on September 21st, but that's what it is here.
Don't understand degree. You Americans are weird. It's 18, 19 here. Is that degrees or I don't know.
Celsius, I guess do you guys do the Celsius thing?
Sunshiny but cold.
Yeah, it's here too. There's not a cloud in the sky, but it's a little bit chilly. It's a little bit chilly. That's all right. I'm ready for it. So REO Speedwagon have 15 studio albums. They go way back. And I think for those of you watching who maybe, all you really know of REO Speedwagon is those big, massive, 80s pop hits that they had. This was a pretty serious hard rocking band earlier in their career in the 70s. And there's a lot of really good albums here that I'm sure most people have never heard before. So Simon and I have re-listened to the old stuff, to the new stuff, and we kind of put them in some kind of order, and we'll see what we come up with. So I'll let Simon kick us off with his number 15.
15, Lost in a Dream. Very, very difficult to get hold of, or even here. Over here, it's a bit obscure, and it's a bit didn't grab me. Never has actually. To be fair, no, just when you make 15 albums, you're allowed to make the odd clunker, aren't you? And this one for me is a clunker. And the cover is awful. No, just no. I realize I'm not even pulling any songs out for this one. Just nothing really.
Well, that's the way it goes. I mean, with some of these. So my number 15, I'm going to go with "Life as We Know It" from '87. It's not even really a rock album. I mean, I think for me, the only song that's got any bit of a pulse is "Over the Edge." But Gary Richrath and Alan Gratzer, longtime members of the band, they leave shortly afterwards, and then it truly becomes Kevin Cronin's band, right? The Kevin Cronin band. And I just and this sold a little bit by this time. The band's popularity is starting to wane here in the States, but I just not very good at all. So that's bottom of the barrel for me.
Oh dear, I've got things to say about that album as it comes along. It's not 14 for me. At 14, we've got Find Your Own Way Home, which is the last actual proper studio album.
Yep.
2007. Some songs are okay. Smiling in the End, Dangerous, Combination. The title track's okay, if not wishy. I think Dangerous Combination was a right with Jim Peterick, which is always a good thing.
Yeah.
But I'd almost rather listen to the Christmas album, which we are not including.
Right, we're not included, but it's not awful.
No.
I find most of these bands, who we've talked about a lot of them on this show, who are, 70s bands who kind of by the mid-late 80s the popularity starts to wane. They don't make any new music, but yet they always go and pop out a holiday album, right? A Christmas album. Yeah. And in most cases, then the Christmas albums are not too bad because it's a Christmas album after all, right? But all right, more about Find Your Own Way in a minute. But before then, let's talk about Building the Bridge from 1996. I mean, just overloaded with just forgettable ballads. Although there's a song in there called Can't Stop Rockin', which is arguably the heaviest thing they've done in many, many years. That's really the only thing I like on the album. The rest of it just absolutely forgettable and no reason to listen to it. If you like hearing REO's ballads, by all means, go for it. But for me, no thanks.
I've got that. Is it 13 next for me?
Yeah.
I've got that. Can't Stop Rocking actually does kind of rock, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does.
I mentioned explains why they like rocking. I think it's those boys out of Liverpool, isn't it? And 1 out of 10 is not a great ratio, is it? But,
not really. There's not much to talk about on this one. I know it's just like, All right, my number 13, I'm going to go for Find Your Own Way Home, which you already mentioned. I think with this album, and this is the last thing they've done, right? So it's what, 13 years ago? Uh, I got the impression on this album that they're trying to get back to playing good time rock and roll. I mean, the songs aren't that memorable. I mean, by this point in time, you lost a lot of their really good songwriters, and I think Kevin Cronin's vocals have really lost a few steps. You can really start to hear it on this album. I think the title track is pretty decent. I Need It to Fall has a cool hook. Everything You Feel's kind of got some big riffs and a little bit of Hammond, but the rest of it just doesn't really do much for me. But I think they were trying to get back to playing rock music, but that was 13 years ago, and we haven't heard another peep out of them since, other than the Christmas album, which is not very rocking either. But yeah, so.
Oh. I would imagine they probably could make a quite interesting, fairly rocking album now, because they certainly rock when you see them live still.
They do, yeah, absolutely they do. Well, they play a lot of old stuff, that's why. But
yes,
yeah, they can still. I mean, the guys in the band they're good players. I mean, like I said, Kevin's vocals are not what they used to be, but he still is a good front man. And
yeah,
but yeah,
Bruce Hall is a fantastic bass player. I really like his work. I really do. Yep. 12.
Yep.
Life as We Know It. Yeah. I mean, I think they must have been at the point where the record company was saying, "Come on, let's have a few more hits. Come on." So they had Kelly and Steinberg writing with them, didn't they? And they did some gloopy big hits. Did they do what was the Bangles hit?
Oh yeah, which song? Jesus, I don't remember which one in particular. Yeah,
the slow one. It's gone, completely gone. Even though it's currently working around in my mind. I wrote down No Balls because it didn't. Eternal Flame, by the way, got there eventually. That's the Bangles song. They've got some fairly okay songs. That Ain't Love I quite like as a single. But I think we were talking about the Outlaws before. They were trying to find a place. I think Speedwagon were at this point because they'd had the hits, and once you've had the hits, you've got to try and have more hits, haven't you? And we're hurtling towards the end of long-haired music at that point, and I think they got guillotined before most people did.
Yeah. I mean, that was the issue in the '80s, right? The record labels, they just want hit singles and videos on MTV. That's what it was all about. So I'm going to go with my number 12 with Wheels Are Turning from '84. Another big seller for the band, right? You had Can't Fight This Feeling, which was massive. But man, most of that album is just absolutely dreadful pop. I just don't dig it at all. Gotta Feel More, I kind of like. I Do Want to Know and Break a Spell those are kind of more the more rockin' tunes, but the rest of it is just another excuse of them, just reaching for the charts. And it just seems they were getting really far away from what this band was all about, back prior to High Infidelity. So that's number 12 for me.
Which makes that my 11. I mean, is there a worse song anywhere than Rock and Roll Star on Wheels Are Turning? I get the point. Oh, poor me! I'm a multi-millionaire rock star. Oh, didn't. Oh, really. Yes. That said, Can't Fight This Feeling is a fantastic ballad. Oh, yes. Yes, indeed it is. But, yeah, the rest of it. Yeah, this is weird because I actually like them. And yet we're not saying very much pleasant about them thus far.
Not yet, yeah, exactly.
There are some good tunes on absolutely on older records. There are, but, I think that once they had the hits, I think they kind of lost their way. And I think Cronin's acknowledged that, hasn't he?
Yeah, no, it absolutely has. Yeah, and it's like we're coming down on a lot of these albums, but and there are some good songs sprinkled on them. But I just think this band just really did a 180 based on where they were originally. And I don't know, they made a lot of money, had a lot of hits in between, but I just think they were always more than that. So yeah. All right, my number 11, the album with probably one of the worst titles ever. The Earth, A Small Man, His Dog and a Chicken from 1990. I mean, what the fuck are you thinking with an album title like that? I mean, come on, give me a break. And the album is just bland AOR pop. Though Love Is a Rock's pretty catchy. Live It Up is pretty hard rocking. Love to Hate also has some pretty cool guitar work. And You Won't See Me and Love Is All Right, which is short for Liar, are also pretty cool songs. So this album is not a complete flop. I think this album, half of it's pretty good, them trying to rock again. The other half is pretty forgettable, and it's got an absolutely awful title and cover art to it. So there you have it.
I think we found where we disagree.
Okay. All right.
I think that bizarrely enough, that one's going to be a bit higher up for me. Yes,
Okay.
it is.
Nothing wrong with that.
Absolutely. Opinions are good. And yes, they are. In this polarized society in which we live.
Exactly.
Yes. Yep. So I've got a lot of scribbles. That's what I've got. I've got the, what have I got? Let's go with the REO album, the one that looks like a cow.
Yeah, that's this one right here. Yeah, I think they call that the Cow album, right?
Yeah. Again, very difficult to get hold of over here. That's the one.
Yep.
Did that come out with This Time We Mean It?
Yes, it did.
Okay. So there are, again, now we're in. I think we're in the realm into the realms of the good albums. That justifiably, good. I mean, it's got to keep pushing and Fire Take a Track. I mean, can you go wrong with us? I don't feel like you can. But it's they're still searching for that absolute kind of sound that is going to come very, very shortly, and then they find a sound that is a hit. So it's a good album. It's a good album, but not a great one for me.
Yeah, I hear you. I hear you. My number 10 is going to be Keep the Fire Burning from '82. Love a title track. Girl with the Heart of Gold is really strong. I'll Follow You. Really good track, nice and accessible. The Key is probably the hardest rocking song on the album. I mean, it's not a very rocking album, but I think as a kind of like successor to High Infidelity, I think it works pretty good.
You mean Good Trouble?
What's that?
You mean Good Trouble?
Is that what I called it?
Called it Keep the Fire Burning.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, that's a mistake. Yep, Good Trouble. Sorry, that's a typo on my end. Good Trouble. Yeah. My issue I think with this album is that Gary Richrath, who I absolutely love as a guitar player, may he rest in peace. I think they're kind of like pushing him out. Like you hear less and less of him after High Infidelity. And I think he's barely registering anything on this album. It's slowly becoming the Kevin Cronin show, obviously. But you know what? This album still did really big business here. It was platinum, #7 Billboard. So, and it's got some good songs on it. I think, Good Trouble, pretty solid album.
Yeah. Which makes that your number
10. Yep.
10 and my 9. I concur with what practically everything you say there. It's relatively. I like Sweet Time and Girl with the Heart of Gold, and the single as well, Keep the Fire Burning. I think that's a really, really, really good tune. But they've pretty much disowned this record, haven't they? As a band, they pretty much disowned it and very rarely play anything from it, I believe. So,
which is strange because, like I said, it was a pretty big seller for them and a big deal, right?
But
maybe deep down inside, not really the album they wanted to make following up High Infidelity. Maybe it has more to do with that,
Yeah.
All right, so let me find. All right, so my number 9 is this one right here. This Time We Mean It from '75. Third and last album with Mike Murphy on vocals. So yeah, they had this guy named Mike Murphy on vocals for 3 albums. A pretty strong album though. I think Reelin' is a really good song. Kick some ass. It's got really cool rhythms and some absolutely blistering Gary Richrath guitars. Heading for a Fall, kind of southern rockish, which I think they had a little bit of that kind of southern style boogie, even though the guys were from the Midwest. River of Life, great tune. And I hear on a couple of these albums that Mike Murphy sang on, there's almost like a Doobie Brothers kind of influence, the vocal harmonies, right, on some of these songs.
Yeah.
Out of Control is another really good song. It's a good hard rocker. It's actually a cover of an old Eagles track, right, from one of their first albums. Gambler is kind of bluesy boogie. They did a lot of boogie stuff as well. Lives is a fun, funky hard rocker that to me reminds me of the James Gang, with some great guitar licks from Gary, and I like Dance a lot. It's got some killer blues and a lot of good organ and riffs. So that's my number 9. This Time We Meet It.
Next, I've got REO 2.
Ah, okay. Which is this guy right there.
It's got Music Man on. It's got Golden County on. One thing I don't like about some of their earlier albums are Chuck Berry covers. I have a definite strange dislike of anybody doing a Chuck Berry cover that isn't called Chuck or Berry. just think, there's a couple of them on REO's albums, and I think it's the odd one on the 38 Special one. I think, no, why? Just don't.
I think a lot of bands were like milking Chuck's catalog to fill out albums back in the 70s. Yep.
But what's the point when Chuck's done them so well already?
Yeah.
But yes, was it REO 2? It was indeed. I mean, like I say, Music Man and Golden County. Yep, right in the store. Is going to be the next one. That's where I've got confused. It's okay. Yes, I can finally. I've been sitting here thinking, okay, there's something missing, but now I can read my own writing. So yeah, there you go. Everything's okay.
That's why I type everything, because my handwriting is absolutely atrocious, and I can't even read it myself.
Stop writing.
Yeah, I still do that, but every time I do that and I'm doing one of these shows, I'm trying to look at my chicken scratch and I'm like, I don't know what the hell that says. So now I just like type it all out, because at least then I know I've kind of got it right. Although then you got the typos, because obviously I called Good Trouble Keep the Fire Burning before, so I don't know where I got that from, but yeah, whatever. All right, I'm going to go for number 8. This might surprise some people. I'm going to go with their big, massive album, High Infidelity, as my number 8 from 1980. I love this album a lot when it came out. I have found, though, in more recent times that when I go back and listen to it, I like half of it a lot. And the other half of it, to me, is just kind of, it's okay. Don't Let 'Em Go, great song. Take It on the Run, great song. Probably one of my favorite songs by them. Keep on Loving You is an absolute pop rock classic, no matter how many times you've heard it. Follow My Heart is a great funky hard rock tune. The rest of the album, to me, Tough Guys is pretty good. I don't mind that much. But man, number 1 album, 10 million sold in the U.S. It's absolutely huge. I find that like my older self appreciates some of their other albums a little bit better. So there you have it.
Why not? Why not, indeed. I still think I've miscounted, but next on my list is This Time We Mean It, which is higher up than I thought it would be when I thought we would actually, when we had this discussion about doing them. I've got it upstairs on my record player, and you think, for quite a while I thought, I'm not listening to that shit. But actually, it's really strong. It really is. Like you said, there are some really good songs on there. Wise, Candle. It's got that kind of in places funky kind of dubious kind of sound, and it's one of those that I genuinely put to one side. I thought I'm not going to throw it away, but chances of me listening to it again are relatively minimal, and I'm glad that I went back to it. Yeah. It's quite high up, isn't it?
Yeah, no, it's a good, strong album. I dig it. All right, number 7 for me. I bet you people are going to rank this album a little higher, and I totally can see that. In kind of re-listening to a lot of these albums again over the last couple of weeks, I find that while I absolutely love the title track to Riding the Storm Out, I find the album as a whole is a little too much of a boogie album, with a lot of that kind of honky-tonk piano thing. And I don't mind that, because REO has always done that. I just don't want to hear a whole album of that. And I find that there's just a little too much on here. So this is the first album with, and I love that photo on the back of the CD reissue here. This is the first album with Mike Murphy on vocals, replacing Kevin Cronin, who kind of came and went a couple times. You got Joe Walsh on slide guitar on a few tracks. Cool to hear Joe here. Title track, obviously, is great. Like I just mentioned, Son of a Poor Man, I love a lot. Whiskey Night is great. It's Everywhere, another really strong hard rocking song, which has like that southern rockish edge to it. But also some tracks that, Move In and Open Up, cover that tune. What else? It's Everywhere, just a little bit too much boogie for me. And what's interesting is actually Kevin Cronin, who was not on this album, he actually writes a good amount of the tracks.
Are you trying to say that you're going to boogie no more?
Boogie No More, REO. Yeah, I don't mind it because they always throw a couple of boogie tracks on their albums. But
Yeah.
I find that I don't want to hear a whole album of that from these guys.
Okay.
So, but I do like it. It's a good album. And I always love that. Again, one of those rare instances where the cover, yeah, it's got them all standing on the front, but I actually think it really works here because they look badass there. It's just, there's kind of a close up of that, right? So, badass. So there you have it. Riding the Storm Out, my number 7.
Okay, so 6. This is where I actually did place The Earth, A Small Dog, His Chickie and a Sheep, and whatever else is. What else is? I really like the cover. I just think it's got that kind of steampunk kind of thing going on there before steampunk was a thing. And I think it's got some really, really good songs on. My Love Is a Rock, what Ear Candy before Ear Candy was invented. Old Heaven Broke Loose. I mean, it's wimpy as all hell, isn't it? Really is. It's not hard rocking in the slightest, but You Won't See Me. Halfway, Gonna Meet Me Halfway, big non-hit ballad. I think it's actually a much more solid record than its dismal sale figures actually suggest, and I really like it.
Okay. Yeah, like I said, I dig half the album. I think it's pretty damn good. And maybe it's one that I need to just keep revisiting a little bit more, But yeah, it's that was them trying to rekindle. And I think back in their last one in 2007, I think they were also trying to get back to some of their older stuff. So, but a lot of weird albums in between. It's just kind of strange. All right. So number 6 for me is going to be the other side of this one. So Lost in a Dream. So that's this bad boy right here. All right. Second album with Mike Murphy on vocals. I think rocks a little harder overall than Riding the Storm Out. A little less boogie, a little more hard rock. You got You Can Fly, pretty funky tune. Throw the Chains Away, Give Me a Ride, Sky Blues. There's a lot of really good guitar solos from Gary. The title track is pretty heavy, great vocals. Down by the Dam, another really good song. It's got some cool like proggy synths on that, right? Because they did a little bit of prog rock back in the early days. And then They're on the Road Again is another one of those songs that reminds me of similar period Doobie Brothers. And then I also like I'm Feeling Good. So I think pretty good album. Could even rank a little higher. I think it's pretty strong start to finish. And I thought that Mike Murphy was a pretty good fit for this band. He only lasted 3 albums though.
I think it's like when we discussed the Quo. The Quo were so big over here that they're kind of ubiquitous. Whereas REO Speedwagon over here, apart from the hits, mean very, very little indeed. So
yeah.
You've really got to make the effort to dig out all 15 and actually find them. Now these days it's a case of rummaging around in the in charity shops to actually find a copy that is all right, you know what I mean? So Lost in the Dreams, just one that probably haven't listened to 20 times in my life. Didn't grab me that much when I did. So
Yep, I agree.
But you know what? I did, we're all different, aren't we? That's perfectly fine. It really is.
It totally is. Yep, absolutely.
Yep.
All right, the top 5. Here we go.
Okay. REO Speedwagon. The album, yes. Was it Terry Luttrell on vocals?
It absolutely was. Yep.
Just some absolute standout. They still play the song, kind of classics, wasn't it? 157 Riverside Avenue. Just an album you can put on, sit back, go, entertain me 35, 40 minutes, whatever it is, and let's hear some shit kicking guitar. That's
pretty heavy album. Heavy album.
Totally different from what they became, and then what they became later in the so many different time zones of this band. But what a good start.
Yeah, I agree. And Terry Luttrell, the guy from Starcastle, who doesn't sound anything like he sounded in Starcastle on this album. So if you're expecting like those kind of John Anderson Yes style vocals, not really.
I come from the same town as John Anderson. Fact.
Do you really? Wow, very cool.
Indeed.
Very
Well, he
cool.
comes from the same town as me.
There you go.
There you go. Yeah. Yes. What's your next one?
All right, my next one. What are we at? Number 5. All right, so I'm going to go with the Cow album, like you mentioned, REO, 1976. Here you got Mr. Cronin back on lead vocals, although he shares. Gary actually sings half the album, so they both sing quite a bit on this one. It's got, Keep Pushing, one of their greatest anthems. Only a Summer of Love, catchy pop rocker. I Believe Our Time Is Gonna Come is a great song. I believe. That's just great stuff. Love it. What else? You got the funky instrumental Flying Turkey Trot, like Simon says, more instrumentals, please. Yes. You got the moody organ-drenched Lightning, which has a great solo from Rich Rath. So I dig that album. I think it's pretty good. It's good. Good to see Cronin back in the band, and obviously he would not leave from that point on, right? So.
No, indeed. Next, what did I just do? I didn't do Ride in the Storm Out, did I?
Nope, not yet.
Excellent. Let's have that at 4, shall we?
Okay.
Again, a really solid, hard rocking kind of album. Son of a Poor Man, the title track. Just again, it's one that you can just let it spend some time with it and think, oh, that's cool. I think I'll put it back on again and again. And suddenly half your day's gone, and so much harder rocking than what they became. Just really, bam. It's not heavy metal, but it's really quite hard rock. It's got that particular 70s kind of production where you know where the guitar player stood, you know where the keyboard is, you know where the bass player is, and it just sounds great still.
Yeah.
How many million years later?
That's the one thing about their music I always really liked, and you kind of hit the nail on the head. It's like you hear every guy in the band on every single song. It's like you can hear the bass, you hear the drums, you hear Gary's guitars, you hear the keyboards or the piano, whatever. I mean, it's just all the different vocalists. Really well-produced band, even from way back in the beginning.
Yep.
All right, my number 4, 1979's 9 Lives. Pretty terrific album, I think. Could even rank higher. This is one of their, I don't know, would you say their start to finish, probably their hardest rocking albums, I think, from start to finish, I guess. Not a lot of big hits on the album, but I think that the songs are just really strong. Heavy on Your Love is great. Back on the Road Again, Take Me, Easy Money, Meet Me on the Mountain is a great album. Again, not a lot of hits, but I think probably their last truly hard rocking album through and through. I think there's some good hard rocking moments on High Infidelity, but I think this album, start to finish, was them saying, hey, we can still rock pretty hard. And it's got the kind of cool album cover too, and the interesting back cover, I dig it. Good album. Yeah,
but does it have a Chuck Berry cover on it?
Good question. Good question. Let's see. Yes, Rock and Roll Music. Of course, got to have one, right?
That's why it's not number 2 for me. Just
take away a demerit point for the Chuck Berry cover.
Absolutely, I've got it at 3 for all the same reasons that you had, and but a Chuck Berry cover. But Back on the Road Again, what a fantastic song!
Yeah,
what a great song. I mean, he doesn't write many, does he, Bruce? But that one, excellent. Yeah. So I've not much to add to that, except it's at 3. Okay. I wonder if we're heading towards the same number 1. I'm excited to find
out. We might be. We'll see. My number 3 is the first album, 1971's. Again, we talked about Terry Luttrell. I think you spoke a lot about this. Good hard rock album, some boogie, some prog. I love Sophisticated Lady. It's got some great, man. Gary Richrath, what a great guitar player, man. Just listen to that song. He's all over it. Lay Me Down is a kick-ass song. They played that throughout the 70s. Gypsy Woman's Passion, Prison Woman, again, sounds like the Doobie Brothers a little bit. Then you got that, which is probably an outlier in their catalog, but the closer, Dead at Last, is like this big, doomy, proggy kind of Iron Butterfly, Uriah Heep, Deep Purple, blood rock, lots of organ, big heavy riffs, Great song. I almost wish they would have done more of that because I absolutely loved Dead at Last. But yeah, a kind of weird album with a lot of different styles on it, but it works. For me, it's a great debut. So I dig it. That's my number three.
Fine. Excellent. I mean, it's very, very. If they'd have made, how many albums did they make before High Infidelity? And they would have been binned off these days after one non-hit single, wouldn't they?
Yeah, yeah.
The world wasn't in an entirely different place. So,
yep.
Thank goodness they didn't. Otherwise, my number two wouldn't have existed, which is High Infidelity, and mainly because it's just an album from when I was, just becoming a teen.
Yeah.
So many great songs, arguably some of the greatest power ballads of all time. Yes, it's not all great, by any stretch of the imagination. Cheerfully Never Hear Someone Tonight or Ever Again or Out of Season. But Take It On the Run, Tough Guys, In Your Letter. I think we'll give it a bit of a down one for that one, shall we?
Yeah, I'm not a fan of In Your Letter.
Yeah, well, just such a ubiquitous, even over here, such a ubiquitous kind of album. They don't get virtually any airplay over here, but Keep On Loving You and Take It On the Run actually do, and mainly because they are phenomenally great songs.
Yep. Yeah, they were just hitting their stride right about that time, right? So, yeah. All right, my number two is going to be REO 2. So, again, that one right there. So, we got Terry Luttrell out, Kevin Cronin in for the first time, right? Another good hard rock record. I think this the second one is a little more polished than the first. And I think, when you look back on those first two albums, I think obviously Kevin Cronin's vocal style a little bit better suited to the band than Terry's. But, Let Me Ride is a great song. How the Story Goes. You got, your favorite Little Queenie. Being Kind Can Hurt Someone Sometimes is kind of a bluesy hard rock tune. I dig that quite a bit. Music Man, killer. Absolutely killer. Like You Do, I love quite a bit. Golden Country is another big mammoth album closer with big riffs and great lead guitar solos and organs and just epic. So I like the second album quite a bit, but not enough to upseat our number one. Which I think pretty safe to say is this bad boy right here. You can tune a piano, but you can't tune a fish. Some people hate the album cover and the title, but I think it's kind of quirky and kind of neat. Right?
Yeah, but you don't like The Earth, a Small Dog, a Man and His Chicken.
Yeah, I guess. Well, I think I like the songs better on this one. So
okay, and what songs they are as well.
Yeah.
I have never been able to conceive why Say You Love Me or Say Goodnight wasn't just a ginormous globe bestriding, superhumanly humongous, great big hit.
Yeah.
Because in my head, it is.
It is. Yeah.
Now I've said it.
Good songs on here.
Thinking about it all day. What a tune.
Yeah.
What a really genuinely great tune amongst quite a lot of great tunes on this particular album.
Could you imagine if this album came out after High Infidelity, when the whole world knew who they were? Because I don't think the whole world really knew who they were yet here. I think if you release this album after High Infidelity, this does even bigger business.
That's entirely possible. Because they wrote it when they weren't forced to write it, like they were with Good Trouble, weren't they? And Flying Turkey Trot, Crowd Going Wild. Just Lucky for You, well, winner. Trying to do this off the top of my head. I really should be better off than you, but just a great record.
Yeah, I mean, Roll with the Changes, great. Time for Me to Fly, great. Running Blind, great. Blazing Your Own Trail, great. I mean, it's just it's a really, really, really good record. Here was the guys back there. I always love this, and this was kind of a no-brainer for me to put it number one because I just think it's still plenty rocking, but it's got really catchy, memorable songs, and obviously they would go on to continue to write catchy, memorable songs, but drop some of the rocking. But I think this kind of gives you the best of both worlds from this band, and I think stronger throughout than High Infidelity. So there you have it.
So we've gone from, look, they've made some terrible records to they've made some great records.
Yes. Yeah, they have. But you know what? Some good stuff, or even throughout those terrible records.
Yeah,
most of them anyway. I think on a couple of them I can only find one or two I like, but that's all right. But I think kind of the moral of the story is like how many people who may watch this really only know those couple of big albums and never really bothered with the early stuff or never bothered with the later stuff. Well, we've obviously given you some reasons to definitely seek out the early stuff and maybe go and experiment a little with the later stuff, because there's some good stuff to be had there as well. But so as always, we want everybody to rank these albums as you like them. There's no right or wrong answer here. We all hear these albums differently. So curious to see what you guys come up with in the comments below. I want to thank Simon for stopping by once again to help us out with this monumental task. He will be back once again, and make sure to go on www.seaoftranquility.org to read all of his and mine many CD reviews that we've done over the years. We've got over, what, 22,000 now, something like that?
Yeah.
I've lost count. I don't know. It's way too many.
I really must do one soon.
You and me both, man. I've been spending all my time over here, so my stuff on the website has been a little lackluster lately. But I think the last thing I reviewed was the new Ace Frehley covers album, which
the world doesn't need.
Yeah, no, it's like, Ace, come on, no more cover songs. Let's get some original material out. I'm okay with that. But yeah, we didn't need another covers album. But whatever.
Indeed.
Anyway, so there you have it, guys. So like I said, visit us on the web at www.seaoftranquility.org. We're on Facebook, we're on Twitter, of course, we're here on YouTube all the damn time. If you like what you see here, please click down the video description and hop on over to our Ko-Fi page and buy us a coffee or a tea or a beer or a piece of chocolate or whatever, and go to our merch page and check out our selection of t-shirts and hoodies and hats and caps and coffee mugs and stickers and all that good stuff. And stay tuned tonight. The Hudson Valley Squares are coming back for another couple of rants. We are talking about guilty pleasure albums that we own, as well as some of the weirdest and worst band names in pop, hard rock, metal, and prog history. So that's coming up tonight with Chris Allo, Nick Franco, and Ryan Scout. So take care, everybody. Simon, I will see you real soon, and everybody have a good one.
Yeah.